I've been blessed to know Kanye West before he became the Kanye West.
He definitely gave me that confidence to follow my heart and follow my creative path.
Certain songs that he did, people scared to even do, so.
Killer, monster, he did a whole show with a mask on, I'm sorry.
He loves comparing himself to people.
I am Warhol.
Kanye West unveiled his new clothing line.
I am Shakespeare in the flesh.
People just can't seem to stop talking about Kanye West.
I am the most impactful artist of our generation.
10 Day and Acid Rap were inspired by Kanye.
Get off the property!
Every single headline on the news today is about something that Kanye said, something he did, something he tweeted, something he ranted about.
George Bush doesn't care about black people. When you hear about slavery for 400 years, for 400 years, that sounds like a choice.
Everybody says, who does he think he is?
Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
This is crazy.
I just told you who I thought I was, a guy.
You could tell that he was going to be a star.
I love Kanye. I think he's like the best. He's like a prophet. He's like he makes people want to be better.
Kanye is adopting and endorsing our platform. Kanye paying the fine off essentially removed any barrier for me being able to make the ballot.
You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers, Sway.
Hey, good morning, Kanye.
Shut the up. If you guys like that epic intro, let us know by hitting that like button right now. Now, Kanye West, he is undoubtedly one of the most influential artists of his generation. From his genre-defying bodies of work to his signature fashion lines, there's no denying Mr. West's creative impact on the world. Now, everything he set his mind to accomplish, well, Kanye's done it. He originally wanted to be the biggest producer in the world. He did that. Next, he wanted to be the biggest rapper in the world. He did that too. Then he wanted to be one of the biggest names in the world of fashion. He checked that off the list as well. And then he wanted for himself a Kardashian. And that just seemed easy as pie. She dumped the last guy, got with him, and they're madly in love. But Kanye's career has been one of the most polarizing journeys that we've ever witnessed. Now, the name Kanye West, it's been synonymous with controversy basically since he started out in the game. But one thing is for sure, whether you love him or you hate him, you feel something about him. And not many people have that impact on the world quite like Kanye West. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Michael McCrudden, and in this video, we're gonna take you through the life and career of Kanye West one last time. We're gonna go into his early years he spent in China with his mom, to the car accident that almost took his life in Los Angeles, because this here is our epic version of Before They're Famous. Now, of course, we've done other videos here on this channel. We recently dropped one on Drake. We did one on Post Malone. We've done Ariana Grande and Beyonce and Cardi B in the past, but you guys gotta let us know who deserves an epic in the comments down below. All right, without further ado, let's get into good old Kanye West. Kanye Omari West was born on June 8, 1977 in Atlanta, Georgia, to Donda and Ray West. Now, the two, they met at Spelman College in Atlanta, where Ray was hired as a freelance photographer by a director of public relations, and Donda, well, she was working in the public relations department while studying for her master's degree at Atlanta University. Ray West is a former Black Panther member and one of the first black photojournalists at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He also holds 2 degrees. Now, the two were married 3 months after they started dating. At first, neither one of them, they wanted to have children, but 3 years into their marriage, well, Donda said that she felt the spirit of God gave them Kanye. Now, although Kanye, he originally thought that his parents divorced when he was 3 years old, he revealed in his David Letterman interview that the divorce may have been finalized when he was 3, but they were basically separated when Kanye was just a baby. Now, Ray, he was originally a great husband and a father, but once his photography business started to grow, well, that became his first priority. And Donda, well, she decided that she didn't want to come second to no man, to no business, to nothing. Now, him and his mother, they moved to Chicago together when Kanye was just 3 years old. Now, Donda, she was an English professor beginning her career at Morris Brown College in Atlanta, but later working at Chicago State University. She also became the head of the English department there. Now, even though money was tight as a single mom, well, she always managed to provide her son with a good life, buying a house on South Shore Drive where her and Kanye lived for 8 years. From a young age, Donda, she taught Kanye that he could always speak his mind, something that, well, you know, he certainly hasn't shied away from.
The destruction of the spirit of the people of southern Louisiana and Mississippi may end up being the most tragic loss of all.
George Bush doesn't care about black people. Please call.
His mother Donda, she stated in her memoir, "There is no room for shyness. I raised him that way to think critically and analytically and not be afraid to voice what you feel. I helped shape that. I think leaders are people who must do that." Every summer though, Kanye, he would stay with his father in the DC area. And like he says on the song Champion, "We were kind of like Will Smith and his son in the movies. I ain't talking about the rich one." Looks like they had a little pursuit of happiness going on. Now, while he didn't know exactly what his dad was doing for dough, he would always send his kid back to school with a new wardrobe. Now, Kanye, he was an extremely gifted child, especially artistically. He would make his own toys and draw elaborate pictures when he was just 3 years old. Now, his work with crayons was more impressive than a lot of kids who were twice his age at the time. He would also experiment with colors, drawing things like purple bananas and blue oranges. Always wanted to be, the original guy in the group, standing out from a crowd. Now, yeah, he was enrolled at Professional Playhouse Preschool before attending preschool at his mom's workplace. Now, his teachers described the young Kanye as academically gifted, but said that socially, he was self-absorbed and didn't work well with others. He attended kindergarten at the Vanderpoet Magnet School in Chicago, and when he was 10, Kanye and Donda, they spent a year in China after his mother was selected through a Fulbright scholarship program to be a foreign expert to the People's Republic of China. Now, Kanye, he was placed in the 3rd grade in China because of the language barrier, even though at that time, he would have been in the 5th grade back home. But he did have a private tutor from Zimbabwe to help him keep up with the 5th grade curriculum for when he returned back home. Now, yeah, he got along with the new classmates, but there was one incident where Donda, she recalls Kanye getting in trouble with his teacher. Now, all the students, they had to have finger holes on their gloves in the winter, but Kanye, being passionate about fashion even as a kid, he refused to take off his gloves that had no finger holes. Now, the teacher sat him down and called Donda about his disobedience. Kanye learned pretty quickly in China that it was disrespectful to look his superiors in the eyes when speaking to them. Now, Kanye, he was also a good breakdancer, and he would charge Chinese students money to watch him dance, which he would then spend on street food. You gotta respect that hustle. Now, eventually, Donda, she homeschooled Kanye for the rest of their year in China. Outside of his schooling, he took Tai Chi lessons and private art lessons twice a week. When he returned back home, Kanye was feeling particularly inspired and began to work on one of his original dreams, which was to design video games, believe it or not. That led him to loving the sound creation for the scores of games. Now, from there, he began to work on music constantly, and Kanye, he spent all of his time practicing. Now, the first song his mom remembers him writing was called Green Eggs and Ham, probably inspired by Dr. Seuss. Now, his first recording was at a basement studio in Chicago that charged $25 an hour. Now, Kanye, he thought that at 13 years old, he would get signed to become a star. He even told his gym teacher that he wasn't coming to class because he was going to get signed. But, as we all know now, that didn't happen right away. Although these days, they're scooping them up mad young. But still, Kanye, he had to wait. Now, Donda, she also believed in Kanye and helped fund his dream. Now, his dream was to become a rapper, so in order to have something to rap over, he would make his own beats. When Kanye was 14 years old, he got his first sampling keyboard after saving up some money. He also started selling his beats, charging local artists $50 per beat. Like he says on his song, Spaceships, he was doing 5 beats a day for 3 summers long. Ye would work odd jobs to save up enough money to keep enhancing his home studio, and before long he had his own mixer, turntables, and drum machine. Friends of his would come over to his home studio to work on their music. Now, those friends were part of Kanye's production company called Con Man Productions. Now, the group, it included Mikey Halstead, Rhymefest, and GLC. It was a work colleague of Donda's that would help introduce Kanye to one of his most influential mentors. Now, Donda, she worked with the mother of a local producing legend. His name was No ID, and he was working with Common at the time. Donda convinced No ID's mom to put in a good word for her son, and before long, No ID, he was giving production lessons to a hungry Kanye West. No ID, he taught Kanye about how to speed up his samples, leading to his later signature production sound. Now, Common, he even remembers Kanye challenging him to freestyle battles. So with newfound skills, advice from his mentor, and inspiration from Common, he was ready for the next chapter of his musical life. But school was put in second place to his musical career, and Kanye's former honor roll grades, they started slipping. With some encouragement from his mother, he graduated from Polaris School in the spring of 1995. Now, in an unlikely turn of events though, he decided to attend Chicago State University where he was majoring in English. And if you know anything about Kanye's career, then you know what happened next. Kanye became a college dropout and focused solely on his music career. But before gaining any real success as a rapper, it was his producing skills that landed him some major placements. Now, after creating his signature sound flipping soul samples, he began producing beats for local Chicago acts. He had a small apartment in Chicago where he would stay inside and make beats from. Now, he was selling enough beats to keep the lights on and buy himself the occasional pair of Jordans. Now, he also became a ghost producer for a rapper named D-Dot, which was actually a pretty good look for him at the time. But his dream of becoming a rapper himself, it was never lost on him. Now, he is part of a rap group called the Go-Getters, and they were managed by John Monopoly, Don Crowley, and Aerostar. And that was under the management firm called Hustle Period. Now, the Go-Getters, they did a short promo run, and they released an album called World Record Holders.
I was always the weakest rapper out of the people in the group, you know what I'm saying? It would always be like somebody who really had it, but they just didn't have a passion for it.
Yeah, none of this information was ever in our original Before They Were Famous. We'd be dug in extra deep in these epics. Dug in? You know what I mean. But his production credits on big name albums are what started getting Mr. West some notoriety. He was featured as a producer on albums for Foxy Brown and Goody Mob. But of course, the biggest moment in his career came when he began producing for artists on Rockefeller Records.
I was always rapping, and it just so happened that really phenomenal rappers got to rap on my beats before I got a chance to.
The next part of Kanye's journey is based on the story that he told in the outro of his song Last Call. According to Ye, an A&R at Rockefeller Records named Hip Hop, well, he wanted to use one of Kanye's beats for their artist Beanie Siegel. Now, Kanye, he would send in beats for his artist to use. Hip Hop was friends with No ID, who advised him that if you want Kanye to send you more beats, you gotta pump his tires a bit about the way he raps. So Hip Hop said he would manage Kanye as a producer and as a rapper also. Now, finally, one day Hip Hop told Kanye that he liked one of his beats so much that Jay-Z might want to rap on it. Now, that song, it ended up becoming This Can't Be Life. He met Jay-Z at the studio after he recorded the song, and Kanye rapped for Jay that day, but nothing came of it just yet. So even after having a beat on Jay-Z's project, well, Kanye was still living in his small apartment without much else happening for him musically. One of the artists from his production company got signed, but Kanye, it looked like he was being left behind. Now, at the same time, Kanye, he got evicted from his apartment and he was unable to pay the rent. So Donda and Kanye, well, they moved to Newark, New Jersey with all of Ye's recording equipment. The first beat he made in his new apartment was Heart of the City. Now, Kanye was playing beats for Beanie at a studio session, but he had already finished his album and wasn't looking for any more beats. Then Jay-Z walked in and heard Heart of the City. So he played another beat and another one, and Jay-Z, well, man, oh man, was he impressed. I made that. That was awkward. Now, those beats, they ended up being some of Jay's biggest songs on his album, The Blueprint. And from there, well, Kanye, the producer, was on. But his career as a rapper, well, it still had a long way to go. Yeah, we're not there yet. Kanye continued to produce for Jay-Z and other major artists. Then after leaving a hangout with some other artists, which included Ludacris, around 3 a.m. while driving in his rented Lexus, well, Kanye, he was cut off and ran head-on into traffic. He collided with another car just a couple blocks away from the W Hotel. This was on October 23rd of 2002. Now, MTV reported that Kanye West had been injured in a car accident, and well, a lot of people didn't know him yet, but those who did, they were very worried. In an interview when speaking on the night, he said, "When I had my accident, I was working on Beanie Siegel, Black Eyed Peas, and PD Crack. And let's just say that those tracks were not my best work. If I would have passed that night, that would have been the end of my legacy. Now when I go into the studio, I act like this could possibly be my last day." Now, Kanye, he had to have reconstructive surgery on his face and his jaw was wired shut. With no health insurance, he was paying for everything out of pocket. But that accident would also serve as inspiration for one of Kanye's most important songs. Now, Kanye wrote and rapped his song Through the Wire just weeks after the accident, and he rapped the whole thing with his jaw wired shut. Now, the song later became the first single off his debut album. Now, after finally convincing some label reps that he was more than just a producer, well, he had a deal with Capitol on the table. But Capitol, they backed out. Eventually, Kanye West, he signed with Rockefeller Records and released his debut album, The College Dropout. The second single off the album was Slow Jams, which featured Twista and Jamie Foxx. That song became all three musicians' #1 hit. But at first, Jamie Foxx, he wasn't so sure about this Kanye guy. He told a story in an interview with the Cruise Show about how the song came about.
And then finally I throw this party and a kid walks in, backpack on, jaw a little swollen. Who is it?
Kanye West.
Kanye West.
Wow.
Kanye told Jamie that he had a song for him to get on, and to keep in mind at this point, Kanye, well, he was only known as a producer for Jay's work.
So we go in the back. So we're in the studio. He says the song go like this. She says she wants some Marvin Gaye, some Luther Vandross, a little. I say, I got it, Kanye. Who doesn't anybody know yet?
Jamie sung that part, but Kanye, he still wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, he went, don't do that.
Wow. So Jamie forgot about the song and forgot about Kanye and thought nothing more of it. He went on to do a bad movie, his words not mine, and then...
So I come back and they say, you remember that song you said was what? It's #1.
And as for The College Dropout, well, the album ended up winning a Grammy for Best Rap Album. Beautiful stuff.
Everybody want to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
Kanye's career after that is one of the most impressive and impactful runs in music history. And while we could do a separate video for each of his classic albums in moments to come, I think we've done this story justice. I think we've told it the best way we can. I think we're gonna wrap it up here because this is Before They Were Famous. Epic style. Alright guys, we put a lot of extra work into these epic videos. We hope you enjoy them as much as we enjoy telling them. Be sure to share these with a Kanye West fan. I'm sure there's something in here for everyone to, you know, maybe they've heard it before, but they never heard it like this, or maybe they don't know some of this stuff. They're like, I had no idea he knew Common. Who knows? Anyways, guys, share these videos, hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. My name, of course, is Michael McCrudden, the Before They Were Famous guy, the Fact God, and maybe send this to Kanye. Let's try that. Let's go over to Twitter, send it to Ye, and see what he has to say. I'm sure he'll love it. All right, I'm done. Bye. Boom!